We're going to talk about foundations, and two major things with foundations. Number one, how do you keep them dry? Number two, how do you keep them insulated and energy efficient? And we're here with Brad Richardson with Christian Builders, and he's going to talk about some of the things that they've learned in their years in business as far as building houses that are economical for the builder and comfortable for the homeowner as well. And Brad, I don't know if you could maybe point out some things, the way that you found out works the best for your clients and your houses to insulate those basements and keep them dry at the same time.
Much like you said, foundations do two things. They support the house, and they're supposed to stay dry. We learned the hard way. We had wet basements. We had to transition. We had to do some research. We used to use damp proofing. That doesn't work. This is a waterproofing system. It's got drainage capabilities. The pinkish product down below allows water to drain through there very, very quickly. And then above board, we've got the Certa board so that we can put our siding to it, and we can put a transition board, ground breaker, which will go over and actually make the transition from the foam to the grade. You don't see foam, you don't have ultraviolet issues. It works great. We've been using it for about 10 years. We've had zero, knock on wood, zero recalls. The product really does function well. It ties into an exterior drain tile system. It works good both for drainage and for hydrostatic pressure, and it is durable. It'll hold up for years. It's got a great warranty, and as a builder, it's taken away a lot of our stress and a lot of our problems.
So the black waterproofing that we can see, that's just a spray-on application. Goes on pretty easy, and then you put the fiberglass, the boards on after the fact.
Right, and it's mechanically fastened to the foundation, and it will allow some movement this way from the soils expanding, but water drains down to that drain tiles, and it does not get hung up and create pockets and create problems for the foundation. So stays dry.
How about some lessons that you've learned, ways you used to do it that you found didn't work so well, maybe insulating? Did you put fiberglass on the inside or any kind of...
I shouldn't laugh, I should cry, because we learned the very, very hard way. Used to of course, just build a 2x4 wall inside, put fiberglass, and call it a day. And you go back 5 years later, and it's a physics lesson. There's mold growing in certain instances. You need to have a dry basement, and you can't allow the homeowner to introduce moisture because it just gets trapped back there. And you have that nightmare call that you don't want, and your home buyer does not want to make that call. But we stopped that and went to this exterior, and that's when the problem stopped for us. We don't get those calls anymore. So, yeah, but we had to learn the hard way.
So we're actually down in the pit now around the foundation. We've got, some drain tile here for this window well that's going in it, so it drained. But if you kind of, talk about the rigid foam that you got above and the reason why you're putting that in there as opposed to your drainage boards, and then also the drain tile that we've got below it here. We can see it's got the nice sock around it to keep the fines out, and maybe kind of point out some of those facts as well.
Okay, let's do it simple. Let's start from the top and have gravity work back down. The reason we like the Certa board is because you can put your siding to it. You've got fastening. The transition for grade clearance, we got to be down 6 to 8 inches, and we'll put a ground breaker product. It does not expose any of the foam or the drainage board to UVs. It's all protected. As a builder, you don't have callbacks because it handles it. In the old days, they didn't have the Certa foam, and we had to put stucco over top, and the stucco cracked and deteriorated, and all it did was help to protect it from the drain or the UV rays, but it also looked pretty horrible, and we got away from that. Once they got the Certa board and the ground breaker, it transitioned down, and it'll shed water off, and if it does not drain away, it's got a clear pathway down here. It'll run through the wool or the fiberboard. It runs down to the drain tile system, which is, we put the drain tile next to the footing, but we use a sock on it because there are fines. You can't get rock that's clean enough, so we do insist on having a sock in it. Then we'll put the rock over top of it, and then we put fabric over that, and then we cover it up, and it's ready for backfill. We do put a drain tile to a window well so that the whole system, everything drains down to this. It runs through the footing into a sump basket so that we can kind of consolidate where it gets in, minimize the points of access. Runs through a sump basket, and then it's controlled. You've got a pump, and you can kick it out. We also put 6 inches of rock under the floor, under the slab, so that for radon and any moisture that's in there, it's got an opportunity to get out and get to the basket or be vented out. So it's a good system.
Now, in this climate zone, you're required to have an R5. Can you use this just as equally well where we require an R10 or even an R15? What are you going to have to do in those areas?
Yeah, we had to go to an R10 in the northern area, a house we just built, and all we had to do is just come up with a flashing detail because it will sit out a full 2 inches versus the 1 inch, and we want to protect it and we want to make sure that it looks good and clean. So that's the physical size of it does create a little bit of an issue, but if you can get your siders to break and put a flashing over it, it worked out really well.